Hello and welcome to Parently, where we tap into the unique experiences and perspectives of parents to celebrate the joys and honor the challenges of child rearing. With new interviews each week, this is a podcast for moms and dads seeking an empowering community and a little levity. Now here's your host, Kelsey Higgins.
Hello and welcome to Parently. Today's guest is Ashley Gustner. Ashley, thanks for joining.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
I am really excited to talk to you. I have a lot of different topics to get to you on. Let's start with a little bit of background. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? What was childhood like? Friends, family, whatever you want to share.
Sure, yeah, thank you. I grew up in a small town called Cannon Falls. I don't know.
Sure.
If you know it.
Yeah. Wait, is that on 23?
No, it's just right off of 52.
Okay.
By like Northfield, Red Wing.
Sure.
Yeah,
okay,
it's really cute, kind of like touristy town.
Okay.
In the summer, at least.
Awesome.
There's like a trail and a winery and things like that. But we moved there when I was 6. Before that, we were kind of traveling all over. Like I was born in Arizona. We moved back to Minnesota, where my parents were from, and then to Nebraska, and then settled in Cannon Falls. And so I went from kindergarten through high school there.
Cool.
Yeah.
What did family look like?
Family, I have a brother who is 4 years younger than me. So it was me, mom, dad, him, and then my parents got divorced when I was 8 and he was 4, and my mom remarried, and we had kind of an oops baby, Jackson. He was I was 13 when he was born.
Oh.
So he was kind of like my little doll.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Blended family,
So,
so common these days.
Yes, yeah. But
Okay.
and then my dad never remarried, but was in a long-term relationship with a woman who had 3 children, plus had taken in her niece. So
Oh, wow.
It was like a lot of kids and family and chaos. Like
Awesome.
Wherever I was.
Did you enjoy it?
I did, yes.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
cool. And then what happened? You went to school?
Yep. I went to Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa. Not even really sure how I found out about Des Moines.
I was just going to ask you, how did you end up there?
Very random.
Okay.
Being from a small town and not feeling like a small town girl, I wanted to get out of that and go to like a big school. So I was looking at like the U of M, Madison. I went down to University of Iowa and then over to Iowa State as well to like look. And while I was there, my mom was like, "You got like a letter from Drake, like maybe you should go check it out," because I was at Iowa State and it's only like 30 minutes away. So I was like, "Okay, fine." So her and I went and checked it out, literally like stepped on campus and I was like, "Yep, this is it.
Really?
This is where I'm going." Yeah.
What was it about it? Or was it just an intuition?
Intuition. Yeah, I have no idea. And it, ended up being the best time of my life. Like all my best friends are, still from college, where I made in college. And
That's awesome.
It was really great.
What did you study?
Marketing management and human resources.
Okay.
Yes, I was kind of struggling with the decision between sort of like that business track or psychology was the other track. So the human resources thing was sort of the in-between of kind of doing a little bit of both of that. But especially when I was younger, I was very obsessed with like security, because I think because I was a little chaotic in terms of my childhood. I just wanted to like have like a good job that I knew was stable, that I wouldn't get fired or anything like that. So I chose that versus, something more maybe aligned with what I ultimately was interested in.
Isn't it so interesting how things from childhood find ways of rearing throughout all of your adulthood?
Oh, totally.
Like it continues to impact your decisions. Interesting.
Really does,
So what did you do with that degree?
So then I joined Allstate Insurance, and I was in a leadership program with them. So the corporate headquarters it was in Illinois, Chicago.
Okay.
Like, suburb area, but I moved to Chicago, to the city, which was so fun. And so I was part of this leadership program that was a 3-year program. The whole idea was to like cram 10 years of experience into 3.
Okay.
And so you kind of rotated to different areas within the corporation. So I started in the like headquarters and marketing, and then was there for a year, went to Arizona, back to my roots where I was born.
Totally.
And I did more of like a field assignment. I was actually a claims adjuster for like 6 months. It
Okay.
was the hardest job of my life ever. I like cried every day.
Really? Because people were upset?
Just so mean.
Oh.
Like, so mean. So be nice to your claims adjuster.
PSA.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I did some other like kind of field operations type of role for the remaining 6 months. Every role was about a year long.
Okay.
So then I went back to Chicago and actually had a pretty cool like third rotation. I was working for the like communications, they called it corporate relations team.
Okay.
And I got to write like speeches for the CEO and like did like all of his like briefings on like events that he would go to. It was really cool. Very stressful, like level job. And yeah, and then I took a job back in the marketing department after like the rotational program was done. And yeah, I kind of decided like after probably a year in that, so I spent like 4 years total with the corporation. I was like, yeah, this isn't really for me. I don't want to do marketing for the rest of my life, especially for an insurance company.
Interesting.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. So I had kind of a hard pivot and I left my job. And I went to India and I got my yoga.
As one does.
Yeah, right. And, like I had my classic millennial breakdown and like quarter life crisis. And yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty incredible now that I think back. It was like kind of right when Instagram was starting up and people were, doing the, travel influencing, like very not totally yet, but had just kind of started it. And I was like, I could do that. Like,
and did you?
Yeah. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit my job. So I started in India because I had already kind of started this transition, I would say, to like I was looking at coaching and organizational development. I was like, okay, how can I do something I'm already doing and like shift it to something a little bit more interesting to me. So started looking at like career coaching, organizational development, consulting, that type of stuff, and kind of landed into more of like the wellness coaching aspect of things. And, health and wellness had always been like a huge part of my life. Like I was an athlete in, high school and always loved, yoga and working out. And so I was just like, oh, okay, well, maybe this is a path I should explore. And I had, the funds. I was paid well at Allstate, so I just was like, I'm gonna, save up my money and see what happens. And so I went, like I said, I went to India, did my yoga teacher certification, and then from there I was just sort of bopping around traveling. I went to Bali, Australia, and then Thailand was kind of my last.
Amazing.
Stop, yeah.
Were you influencing?
No.
While you were doing this?
Kind of. I was like blogging.
Okay.
So I wasn't, and I was sharing pictures and things like that on Instagram, but wasn't like full on like doing like the full like influencer thing. But yeah, I was blogging and it was weird. Like I would get, random people reading it and commenting that, it wasn't just my friends and family.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
How long were you bopping around for?
It was only about 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
Actually, I was 26. So kind of like that biological clock was sort of ticking in my back of my head. I was like, this is fun. I'm so glad I did it. But like, do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to, go home? And like, ultimately, if I want to have a family, I want to be home, or at least in the U.S. So I kind of had that, rolling around in the back of my head. So,
Sure.
Yeah, I was in Thailand and I was like, okay, either I need to like teach English here, because that was sort of the next option to make money, or I need to go home. And so I just decided, okay, I'll go home for a little bit, see what happens, and I just ended up staying home.
Okay. Where did at this point, what did you consider home? Like
I went back to Minnesota, like literally Cannon Falls, like lived with my mom for a year and a half while I reassessed my life. That was not the plan. I was like going to go back. I had started to do a little bit more of like the online, like, health and wellness coaching thing. Had started that whole company thing. And then came back home, was working at a yoga studio as like the studio manager. So doing that plus kind of trying to start up my business. And then I actually broke my back, like herniated a disc in my back, and I couldn't walk. Like
how
at all.
so? How did you do it?
I honestly don't know. I think some of it was from the backpacking. I had like started to kind of, well, actually, when I was in India, one of the instructors like pushed me super far forward in like a forward fold, and I like heard my hip like pop. And then that was like the start of my, journey. So I have spent the next, 4 or 5 months like with a huge backpack and like just pushing through any pain.
No.
So I think I had injured it then, and it just kind of kept getting worse. And then when I was living in Cannon Falls, I was like commuting all the way to Eden Prairie to work at the yoga studio for very little an hour.
Sure. Probably spending more money to get there. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I didn't have like a ton of money to, work on like chiropractic or, physical therapy or anything like that. So I just was like, well, I'm just going to do yoga. It's supposed to help, right? Which it does. But, when you get to a point where you need some extra help, like,
sure.
Yeah. So I think I had just been slowly kind of injuring it. And the final straw was I played like sand volleyball one night, and the next morning I woke up and had like the, shooting pain down my leg. I like couldn't walk. I like somehow crawled myself out to my car, and my dad lived in the same town at the time. I was staying with my mom, and so I drove over to my dad's house because he worked from home. And I was like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And
like, is this before cell phones? Like, I don't.
No, it wasn't.
I
don't know.
You probably didn't want to be alone.
I just was like, okay, I just like need to go somewhere right now.
Sure.
And like, so I just went over there. And yeah, I basically ended up spending like the next 3 months like on his like floor or couch because I like couldn't really move much from that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really weird, but I actually did a lot of like meditation. I became like a Reiki master, like just from my couch. And I healed myself. So I went from like a huge herniated disc to a very small bulge in 6 months. From that.
Excuse me?
I know, it's really like wild.
Reiki master, please explain what this is.
Oh, that's just like an energy healing modality.
Is that all?
I mean, like you can just like take an online course and they like,
Is it what it was? It was an online course?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they do like your attunements over the phone, which is great. I mean, I still felt everything. But yeah, so I like learned, kind of explored that, did a lot of, got acupuncture. At the yoga studio, it was a yoga studio and healing center. So there was like acupuncturists and things like that, nutritionists. So one of the acupuncturists there actually came to me, or like she had another office closer to me. So yeah, between that, like doing a lot of like meditation and stopped pushing myself so much, I think that was like the energetic key. Yeah, I healed it. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And through all this, your biological clock was ticking.
Still ticking. Yeah.
Did you always want to be a mom?
I did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Never knew I wanted to, never like was quite sure about the marriage thing just because of like family,
Sure.
my family
Again,
of
the
origin.
childhood. Yep.
But I was like, yeah, 100% knew I wanted to be a mom. I kind of felt like I already was a mom a little bit to my youngest brother.
Sure.
So I knew that was something that I wanted. And I actually had like in my biological clock ticking, I was like, okay, if I'm not like with anybody that like I see a future with by the time I'm 32, I'm going to like have my kid on my own. Like,
wow.
I'm just gonna, do it. And then oddly enough, I did have my first child when I was 32.
Really?
Yes.
Look at that intuition.
Yeah, right.
So where did you meet your husband?
On, what was it called? Not Hinge. Bumble. One of
Bumble.
the online things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you were living in Cannon Falls?
No. So after the whole like healing my back thing, I was like, okay, I got to get a real job with insurance. So, yeah. So, but I was like, but I still can't like sit for hours at a time.
Yeah.
So I was looking for remote jobs, and I found an opportunity with this company called Everwise, which was like a learning and development software company. So it was based in San Francisco and New York, but they had these remote opportunities called experience managers who basically like onboarded clients to like their experience and helped them to set their goals. So it was like coaching adjacent because I was still like on the side trying to get this like health and wellness coaching thing
Sure.
up and running.
Yep.
So it was kind of like a combination of like onboarding and then career coaching. And then you'd match the person to a mentor, just like a volunteer basically from LinkedIn. And then they would go through like this 6-month experience of like a professional development experience.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now the company, it was acquired by a company called Torch. And I think they're still around, but yeah, so that was a great, like, amazing opportunity because I could literally like lay on my back and like have my headset on talking to people all
Sure.
day. And so again, I was like able to, continue to kind of heal and get my back in order. And then kind of during that time, I moved to Minneapolis because I was like, okay, I need to get out of Cannonballs.
Sure.
I've already tried to leave once. Great town, just not for me. And so I was in Minneapolis and literally like I had moved right after high school. I didn't really have any high school friends or anything. So I was just meeting people. I actually did the Bumble BFF, which like you could like
you meet a
like
girlfriend.
girlfriends. Yeah, and I did meet like a pretty good girlfriend from that.
Awesome.
And, yeah, and then one of my friends from college, he actually moved to Minnesota, and so I had him. So I had like a little crew, and then I was on Bumble and met Kyle, and that was sort of it. I mean, at that point, I was actually sort of toying with the idea of like, okay, I'm remote. I could like go back and start traveling, and just take the job with me. So I had plans to actually move to San Diego for a little bit, and then I was going to like, try out maybe abroad again. But I met Kyle and was like, this feels serious.
He's interesting.
Yes. So yeah, that is kind of that. We, moved in, got engaged, got married, had Lenny. So yeah.
Lenny.
Yep, that's my daughter, my first.
Tell me about
daughter.
Lenny.
Lenny is a 4.5, the sweetest little girl. She only wanted to be held by me, like when she was born. Which,
classic.
Yep, like, and still pretty much is like that. But just like we were super connected right away and like still are. But I think we're starting to have that mother-daughter relationship where I'm like, oh, you're exactly like me. So this is going to be a really interesting teenage year experience.
Totally.
Mm-hmm,
Totally.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so she's very similar, and like, sometimes I'm like, girl, you feel so much. And I'm like, I do too. I get it. And like, this is going to be a hard but beautiful life.
Yeah. Yep. I love the name Lenny.
Yeah, thank
so
you. So
cute.
Yes, L-E-N-I. Mm-hmm.
And then your second one?
Her name is Mirren. So we named her after Mirren, Switzerland. So Kyle
cool.
and I are big travelers, and we went to Switzerland kind of in between Lenny and Mirren, and we loved Mirren. And when I was pregnant, we were like not really sure, what we wanted to name her. And we were just talking about our trip one day, and I'm like, why don't we call her Mirren? Like we loved it there, and so. She's Mirren.
Oh.
Yes.
And how old is she?
She is 2.5. So
2.5.
Yeah, they're about 2 years apart.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And are you feeling good about the family right now? Are you thinking that you might still expand?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
We are done. I had pretty hard pregnancies with both of them. I had placenta previa with both of them, so it was kind of scary toward the end, and like wasn't sure. Like I was able to do a natural birth, but it was like kind of up in the air if it would have to be C-section. So yeah, it was.
Tell me what that is, placenta previa?
It's where your placenta is like too close to the cervix, so there's a risk that when your water breaks and your cervix starts to like split, that it could like rip the placenta apart, and then like the baby would die.
Great.
Yeah. And Mirren was more intense because there was it could have been like vasoprevia, which was like the actual cord was like too close. Yeah. So with her, we actually had like, it was like a week before she came that we like found out like, yes, it's okay to like do like a vaginal birth because we weren't even sure. We couldn't like see if it had moved far enough or anything yet.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, so it was like very stressful. My husband didn't have the best time with either of them. He actually had postpartum depression pretty badly with both of them. So which I will say is probably because he's in the construction industry and he got like 1 day off. So there was like 0 bonding opportunity. But yeah, so we just were like, you know what, we're good. Like we've had kind of 2 close calls. So we're happy with where we're at.
That's really interesting. You don't hear people talking about men having postpartum very often.
Yes.
What did that look like for him?
It was a lot of like avoidance. So a lot more like where women, I think probably because they don't even really have the choice to be avoidant. But for men, it definitely, or for at least for him, it was like a lot of just avoidant, like staying at work, like as long as he possibly could, like any opportunity that there was to, maybe be alone with the girls. He was like very nervous and very scared. And just like, didn't want to. And like, again, because he didn't really get that like opportunity to do that bonding, like right in the beginning and like understand like how to have a baby. It was definitely better with, Mirren. I think the first, time around, it was very just like, what is this? And like,
did you understand what was happening, or were you like
second time? The first time I was like, what?
Who did I marry?
Exactly.
Why aren't you helping?
Yes. And I kind of went into survival mode too, especially with Lenny, because I was like, oh my God, like I have to like take care of this whole human by myself. So that was, really kind of an intense time.
Totally.
But then I finally, like after, 8 weeks, I was like, what is going on? And then we had a pretty honest conversation about, how he was feeling. And thankfully, I actually, I started grad school for my master's in public health, and my focus was maternal child health. So I actually learned a lot about postpartum depression. And I actually had heard about, like male or, the birthing parent, non-birthing parent, having postpartum depression. So I kind of knew like some signs, and I think I was more maybe understanding than other people maybe would have been. So that was, I guess, a good thing in hindsight. I did actually do like one of my big projects on non-birthing parents and postpartum depression, and how it actually like increases like the birthing parent and their depression and anxiety too. So they're kind of like co-related. So
you had a lot of really helpful insight going into that situation.
I did. Yes. So I feel like it's like, okay, if it was going to happen to anybody, I'm glad it happened to me, because at least I had like the resources and the knowledge to help him too.
I bet that happens a lot more than people know, because I just don't hear people talk about that.
Yeah. And it's harder to identify the symptoms in men too. And I think we, might assign some judgments to them without like knowing what's really going on behind the veil, really.
Totally. Okay, so tell me about grad school. What made you decide to pursue that?
So I had been, kind of in this, so I was working for that Everwise company, and I was like, okay, I really like this health and wellness thing. Like I was like, my dream job would be like wellness company, coordinator or something like that.
Okay.
And so I was like, I have a background in HR. I have this like health and wellness coaching. Like I'm going to put it together, try and find a job. It's like pretty hard to find a job like that, but I did find one at Health Partners. So I actually worked for like their insurance plan, and as an add-on, they add on like well-being program managers and health coaches. So that was me. So
wow.
I did that for Met Council and then for Robbinsdale area schools, which is funny because we live in Robbinsdale, like we're in the district, so it's kind of like, oh, this is fun. And I did that up until Lenny was born, and then I switched over when I got back from maternity leave to the internal Health Partners well-being team. So with Met Council and Robbinsdale, I was doing like a lot of like one-on-one coaching. It was through the pandemic, so it was like very intense.
I was just going to say intense.
Especially with like the teachers. It turned a little bit more into like therapy than coaching. Just because of that big like stressor of the pandemic. So I was pretty burnt out on the one-to-one stuff, and I was like, I want to get more systemic. And so I was like, okay, I want to join the internal team. There happened to be an opening, so applied for it and got it. But they knew obviously I was going out on maternity leave, so I didn't really start until I came back. And then while I was in that and kind of like prior to Lenny, well, obviously it was prior to Lenny being born, because I started school when I got pregnant with her. But I had like learned about public health, and I had not really like known that public health was a thing. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like it's health, and it's like at that systems level where I can like make that type of change versus more on like the one-to-one, because that was just getting very draining. And so, yeah, I applied. And the reason I went for maternal child health too was sort of back to like that undergrad where I was between, you know, the options. I was like, okay, women's rights, mental health, like health in general has always been super important to me. Adverse childhood experiences is like something I'm really interested in. So that just like felt like the right like fit for me. And I was like, I'm going to just ignore like oh my gosh, is it going to be like, you know, siloing me in too much, and just, you know, go for that versus more of like a broader community health engagement type of thing.
Sure.
So yeah, that was my decision. And then got married September 6th, started of 2020. I started my MPH September 7th of 2020. And then I was pregnant with Lenny. I found out like 2 weeks later. So
holy buckets.
I know. So it was like
a lot happening.
Yeah. All right away in 2020. But yeah, and then it took me about 3.5 years to complete my degree. I was like, I remember having Mirren like on my chest, like writing my thesis, because I was like on maternity leave in my final semester of school, and then I graduated.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was fun.
I think about all of the energy it took just to like keep your person alive.
Yeah.
And on top of it, you were doing school.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Yes.
It's very impressive.
And working.
That's wild.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell me about your job today.
So I work for a county government, and I'm in the family health area of public health. So very in line with what I went to school for and what I was hoping to kind of gain. I joined the organization with the role was sort of more about helping to set the performance measures for and like evaluation for our programs that we have. And so I did a lot with like data strategy and like getting everything flowing so that we could even like, you know, really look at our performance measures and to track like how we are doing with the services that we provide. And then we had an opportunity, or like one of my coworkers left, and she was the early childhood systems coordinator. And I was like, ooh, like systems, early childhood. So I was like, oh, I'd love to, you know, do that role. And they're like, great. And then the hiring freeze happened. And so I've basically been doing like both of those jobs now, just like a little bit of each of them for the last year and a half-ish almost. So part of the early childhood coordination role, though, is I get to run a really cool program that works with a few different like childcare providers in the metro that we offer, you know, funding so that they can do more intensive childcare programming that is trauma informed and really helping for like, as we talk about like brain development, helping to focus on like child and family connection, that dyad between parent and child, and so I help with like technical assistance in terms of like, you know, if there are trainings or things that they have questions about, and then just doing like site visits to check in, see if there are things that they need. It's really like a lot of like connecting to resources and making sure that those childcare providers like have what they need to provide the level of care that we're funding them for.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Do you like it?
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
What would a normal day look like?
Oh my gosh, it's very varied.
Okay.
It sort of depends on like the season too. So like in the summer, or like, summer, I'm doing site visits with the childcare providers and doing like going, you know, in person and like seeing them and, you know, checking in with them. But more in like the winter, I'm doing a lot more, especially in the beginning of the year, a lot of reporting, a lot of like data analysis, a lot of creating like reports and dashboards just to kind of annual reports, like analyze how we've done not only in the provider, like childcare providing space, but then also all of the other family health programs. So like WIC, child and teen checkups, caring connections for kids, things like that.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a lot. You do a lot. You have
do
a very broad.
Yeah, I think I have to, because otherwise I get bored very
broad
easily.
Responsibilities. Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious, how does or does being a mom impact, because you have a very specific career, how does it impact your career, or vice versa? How has your career impacted how you've mothered?
Yes, I mean, I think both. It definitely goes back and forth. I think especially for the like early childhood systems coordination piece of my role, I just like know how important it is for a woman's career to have reliable childcare and affordable childcare, quality education. I also know for like public health, like purposes, like if we think about like safety and crime and health, like those, again, early childhood experiences impact so much of our life. It's not just mental health, like it's literally like obesity and chronic disease risk and things like even like the money that you can make, your like economic stability is very much based in those first 3 years of your life. So
that's wild.
It really is. So like being able to, provide services that are targeted toward that population is just incredible. Like not only from like a something I'm passionate about, but also I think about like every day when I'm interacting with my kids too. And like, obviously I'm a human and there are times when I'm like, well, that was not great parenting.
Could have done better.
Yes. But also to, give myself grace too, because I think that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. But to be able to like help shape and transform, hopefully, like the policies around, how we're caring for our youngest citizens is really, really good, really helpful.
That's what's really cool listening to you talk, Ashley. I don't know a ton of my friends, like off the top of my head, that have kind of decided like what their passion is early on and kind of stuck with it, but also it transforms so much as you kind of like went through your career.
Definitely.
It's very interesting, all the things that you've done.
Yep.
What's next? Like, where would you see yourself?
I don't know. I think about that a lot because I think right now I'm in a really good spot of like, my job is like a lot, but it's flexible and it's like, I don't know, it's not like I'm working like 70 hours a week or anything like that. So it's like a good job to have for this time in my life with kids. And I think I need to be in that space right now. But later on, like maybe when the kids are done with me, I can do something a little more intense, I would say. Like I think this area of, maternal child health, like supporting families, supporting parents, especially women, is really important to me. So like I do want to continue that. But I don't know exactly what's next. But I think that's okay too. That's always sort of
totally
been
agree.
how I've done it.
Literally just had a conversation with my boss last week, and had a very similar answer because she was like, well, what, career development, what are we working on? What do we want to do? And I'm like, I'm just in a season of life right now where I'm good at my job. I have flexibility. I'm not looking to like advance that part of my life right now. And it was kind of weird to say.
Yes.
But she was very receptive to it.
Yep.
Partly probably because she's a mom and a woman. But I think there's something to be said about just being okay with the season of life that you're in and not having to push yourself in all aspects at all times.
Yes.
Because women traditionally kind of have.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to do it all and
be it all.
Be it all and have it all.
Yeah.
Not that you don't have a very impressive career as is.
Yeah, no, I mean, but like I do think about it sometimes. I'm like, okay, I have an MPH and like I have all this experience. Like I should be like making more money. I should be like higher up in my, career. But I'm like, I'm okay with it for now. Like, I really am. Like I think there is sometimes like internally what I want, and then like those external like voices
1000%.
that kind of get there, and I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because I do really appreciate, being able to bring my kids to school and like pick them up and, take off the random morning if I have to, do a swimming lesson that got rescheduled. So it's like I don't want to lose the ability to
Absolutely.
do that.
And you can't quantify all of that stuff all the time.
And, okay, especially with Lenny she's going to start kindergarten next year. And I'm like, this is like a whole new transition because they get out of school at like 2, which I didn't really realize. I was like, what happens like between the time that, I'm working still. So that's going to be like a whole other, transition too.
My son started kindergarten this year, and my husband and I also had a very surprising moment when we registered him for after-school care.
Sure.
And then found out it was a lottery and that we didn't win the lottery. Oh, no. And we were like, wait, so what do parents do?
Yeah, right?
And then I started thinking, what does a single parent do?
Yes, definitely.
If you have, I worked with my company and, flexed a lot, and I'm very grateful for that. But what if you work in, I don't know, at Target?
Yes.
And you can't.
Or a nurse.
You can't just like leave and drop and, it's kind of wild.
Yeah. I think that's something I've realized so my husband's in the construction industry, so he's like very busy.
He's gone. When he's gone for the day, he's gone.
Yep. And there's like no, he pours concrete in the winter or in the summer, so it's like literally he cannot leave.
Stop.
Yeah.
He can't pop out for a few minutes.
And then in the winter, he does snow removal, or he like manages, the snow removal now. So there will be times when he's gone for he was gone from like Thanksgiving to, the New Year basically with how much snow we got. So I was like single parenting like the entire time. And I'm like, okay, especially for us, like there's no way I could be a nurse or have like a always in the job, like, or in the office type of job, because who would watch our kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, you've been a very interesting guest.
Thank you.
Is there anything, I know we kind of went all over the place, but is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about?
There's one more thing, and that is that, so because of my personal passion, I connected with a couple of the moms at daycare, and we started talking about, childcare, and we actually created this coalition. So it's a Minnesota Parent and Community Coalition for Childcare.
Amazing.
Yeah, and so we do just like various events throughout the year, and the whole point really is to help parents and the community get involved with pushing legislation that would help to increase just affordability of childcare, increase access, again, to the quality care. So that's just one other thing that I think has been really cool. Not only did it start from our little group at our daycare, but it also just connects so well to my job and to my personal passions. So that has been kind of fun to have like-minded moms come together.
That's super cool.
Yeah,
is it all moms or is it dads
right
too?
now? Actually we have one dad who did come to something. So, but right now the regular kind of planning and meetings have been moms, which is okay. But we're obviously looking to expand. Right now it's just kind of in the West Metro area, but we purposely called it the Minnesota Coalition because we wanted to, expand statewide.
And you do have a marketing background.
Yes,
so
yep. And then one of the other moms too, she's very experienced in nonprofit management and consulting, and then community engagement and advocacy. So there's
That's
a lot of
cool.
great people who are part of the team. We did sort of start a little bit out of the Kids Count on Us. They were hosting roundtables at our daycare, and so that's kind of how we got all interested and connected. But it's really grown kind of beyond that now too.
How can someone find out more about it?
Yes. So we have a Facebook group. It's literally MN, Parent and Community Coalition. So it's a group on Facebook. We do have a website. It's mnparentsforchildcare.org or .com. I should have known this.
We'll confirm.
And then, we have just events kind of, throughout the year. We do have one coming up this Saturday in Coon Rapids, and it's an affordability summit. So that will
cool.
be pretty cool.
I can't believe you met all of those people out of daycare.
I know, right?
And that your daycare has all of those events.
I know. It's pretty cool.
It's a very involved daycare.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are.
That's cool.
Pushing for change. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you.
You've been awesome.
Yeah, so fun.
And to all the listeners, thank you for joining today as well. I invite you to tune in again next week for another insightful conversation. And if you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. See you next time.